Hi everyone, Nicholas Buffy this here from sunny Cyprus, and welcome to today's tutorial. Now today we're working on November 2024 paper 3. This is a paper 3, so the workload is not that great, but it does require you to read the questions extremely carefully, analyze the data, and just use your common sense. See what it is that you're creating, see the questions, and make sure what you're doing is in relation to what the question is asking you to do. Now, this paper I'm going to be solving using Dreamweaver for the web design component, but I'm also going to be creating another tutorial on Expression Web just for the web design component, and you'll be able to find that video in the Expression Web playlist. As always, the resources for this paper, so you can practice at home, you can download from the description of this video. So, enough said, let's get started with this paper. As always, we're going to begin by looking at the question paper. We're first going to check that we have all the files in our folder. We've got all the correct files. And then we're going to create an evidence document. Make sure your name, center number, and candidate number will appear on every page of this document. And we need to save it with that file name. So we'll do that now. So here are all the files. I'm going to right click, new, Word document, and I'm going to save it in the format it wants. And then just make sure my details appear on every page. So I'm just going to use the header. Control S to save. And then we can go back to our question paper. Okay, task 2, the spreadsheet. It says you're going to work for tomorrow web developers and will edit a spreadsheet that analyzes data on web page hits and advertising. Open and examine the file n24hits.csv. So that's the first thing we're going to be doing. Rows 9 to 38 show the number of hits on visits or each web page during a 24-hour period. The number of hits for each hour are stored in columns F to AC. Place your name, center number, and candidate number on the left in the header. Place the text created on, followed by a space, then an automated date on the right in the header. Save this as a spreadsheet with the file name hits underscore followed. Okay, so first thing first, we're going to go and open that file, N24 hits. Before we analyze the data, so that I don't forget, I'm going to go and add the header and the footer, or the header information, and save the file. So first thing is I'm going to go to View, Page Layout, and I want in the top left it says name, center number, and candidate number. And place the created on, followed by space, and automated date on the right. On, followed by a space, automated date on the right. So while I'm in the header and footer section, I've got the current date here. And I'm just going to go have a look and see what that looks like. I'll print preview, print, and there you go. Created on with a space. Good. Okay, now I'm going to analyze the data. So I'm going to go back to normal view, normal, and we're going to have a look at this data. So first of all, I'm just going to click here and just double click between two columns to basically open everything up so everything's readable. And yeah, so what I've got here is I've got my web page information here. So these are the different web pages. This is information that I'm going to have to fill in. So total number of hits, average, traffic level, advertising revenue. Okay. And these are the hours in the day. So 24 hours. And this is the average hits per hour. So from midnight to 1 a.m., 1 a.m. to 2 p.m., 2 p.m. to 3 p.m., we can see how many hits there. Okay, so before I do anything else, I'm just going to save this file, save as. Save it as an XLSX workbook, otherwise you will lose all your formulas. Hits underscore CY127 underscore 1234. Okay, and save that. Okay, save this as a spreadsheet with the file name, hits. So we've done all that. And really, there isn't really much else to see here. So more than likely here, we're going to do the total number of hits. That's going to be an addition or a sum of all of these. Then I want the average of hourly number of hits. Now, since this is per hour, each column is per hour, then that's going to be an average of these numbers. So pretty basic up until now. Here we've got the traffic level. Traffic level looks like it's going to be here based on these thresholds here, but we'll see when we read the question. And then we've got advertising revenue, so that's probably going to be a calculation. Number of web pages with high traffic, medium traffic, low traffic. And I can see here I've got high, medium, low. So this is going to be some kind of count function. So that's basically the spreadsheet analyzed. And I think we're pretty good with that. We can get started with the next part of the exercise. Okay, format all data in rows 9 to 38 to be center aligned, and then format rows 1 to 8 of the spreadsheet so that it looks like this. I hate these things, especially when I'm doing tutorials, because I'm so focused on doing the tutorial. I do make some mistakes, but you can call me out on those. So let's start off with rows 9 to 38. So I'm just going to click on row 9 like that, scroll all the way to the bottom, hold the shift button and click, and that's just going to do all the rows. I'm just going to center align all of them. Okay, 1 to 8, I need to format to look like that. Okay, I'm just going to do this format analysis here. Let's just see what other information it gives us. So it says, make sure cells A1 to F1 and D3 to E3 are merged. So that's that one and that one. Make sure the text in row 1 is a 24-point font. Okay, so A1 to F1, I'm going to merge and center. 24 points. Then this one here, D3 to E3, I'm going to merge and center that one as well because it is center aligned. Now I'm going to move down. Why don't I take a small screenshot of this so we can actually compare while I'm doing this. Now, I've got a little program. Some of you might like this, so if you want to use it, it's called TurboTop. It's free. It actually allows you to have a floating window. So once you run it, there it is. I'm just going to say my snipping tool is on top. So as I'm clicking on things in my spreadsheet, this thing won't go in the back window. It will stay on top. All right, so I've got that. The number and these titles here are bold and center aligned. These are right aligned. These are right aligned. These are center aligned. And these are dollars with 4 decimal places. So I'm going to go to the top and just go to my general and go to more number formats, currency, and I'm going to choose the United States $sign and just give it 4 decimals. Okay, now these ones here, all of these are text wrap. We can see that down here. These are all text wrap. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to select all of these like so. I'm going to go to alignment and I'm going to go to the alignment tab and just go to text wrapped and click OK. Now, you can simply by adjusting the column width, make them text wrap. Let me just increase that size there. Okay, but it will text wrap according to how wide that column is. So instead of doing that, I'm going to show you a different way. I'm going to break the line where I want it to be text wrapped, and that way, irrespective of the width, it's always going to have the correct text wrapping. So total number of hits, let's just make all of these, first of all, center aligned and vertically center aligned. We're going to make them bold. Okay. Now, web page is not text wrap. Total number of hits. right at the beginning of the letter O, I'm going to put my insertion point, hold the ALT, the Alt key on my keyboard, and press Enter. And that breaks the line. Now, as I adjust that, that stays text wrapped. And I'm going to do this for the rest of them as well. So after hourly, click there, Alt key, Enter. Traffic level, Alt key, Enter. Added revenue, Alt key, Enter. There we go. So these are all text wrapped, center aligned, vertically and horizontally. Okay, next part. So over here, it now says, place a replicable formula in cell B9 to calculate the number of hits for the web page 40173 during the 24-hour period. Let's read the next one as well. Place a replicable formula in cell C9 to calculate the average number of hits per hour for this page. And then here we've got a nested if function. So let's go do these two first, 3 and 4. So let's just get rid of that one. So this is the web page. If I want the total number of hits, as we predicted, that's just going to be a simple sum. And I'm going to add all of these. And that's the total number of hits for that web page. There we go. And I'm going to do the same for the average. Equals to average, because it wants the average per hour. And since all of these are per hour, then I just do an average. Okay, let's close the brackets and enter. Perfect. And I'm just going to adjust those so it takes less space. Place a replicable formula in cell D9 using nested if functions. So it's actually telling you what to use here, nested if functions, to display the text from cells D4, D5, D6 when the content of C9 is greater than the traffic threshold. Now notice it's specifically saying nested if functions. This is so that you do not use ifs. Okay, it doesn't want you to use the new ifs functions. You have to use nested if. So you need to pay attention to these questions. All right, so let's just go back and see what that means. So if I'm using in D9 here, and I want the information from D4, D5, and D6, so I want to return these as answers, and it depends on the threshold of these ones. So 400 and more is going to be high, 250 and more is going to be medium, 0 and more is going to be low. So this is like a range lookup with a VLOOKUP, but it wants us to use nested if instead. So let's begin. And it has to be replicable, guys. We have to be able to replicate this. So we're going to click here, and I've got a tutorial on if functions. If you're not that clued up with if functions, then make sure you go watch that tutorial. I'm going to put it as a link in the description because you really need to remember how to do the if functions and the nested functions. But for now, I'm going to give you a brief explanation on the if functions. So first of all, let's understand a little bit about the if function. So if we start off with the if function looking like this, it starts off with the name of the function if. It has a statement, and that statement can either be true or it can be false. So if we say that what's inside the cell D9 here is greater than or equal to 400, then that statement can either be true or false. So let's have a look at the single if function. Let's say we only have medium and high. We don't have the low in this equation. Then I can turn around and say if it's greater or equal to 400, then the answer is going to be the word high. And if it's not greater than 400 or equal to 400, then the answer is going to be medium. So this allows us with one if function to distinguish between two items, high and medium. In our case, however, we've got 3 items, so that isn't going to cut it. So I'm going to draw for you a quick if tree so you can see how we're going to build this up. So we're going to start off with an if function, the first if function, and we're going to say the statement is greater than or equal to 400. If this statement is true, then the answer is going to be the word high. We've seen that already. If this statement now is false, though, I can't say the answer is going to be medium, because that's not going to allow me to check for low. So here I'm going to put another if function to distinguish between medium and low. So the first function distinguishes between high and either medium or low. The second one is going to distinguish between medium and low. So here, greater than equal to 250. So if it's not greater than equal to 400, it's false. It's going to come over here. It's going to check, is it greater or equal to 250? If yes, so that's true, then the answer is going to be medium. If no, in other words, false, then the answer is going to be low. I don't need to check again. I don't need to check if it's greater than 0, because if it's not more than 400, and it's not more than 250, then it's less than 250, so it's going to be low. And that's the structure of my if function. So I'm basically going to have an if, my first statement, which is greater or equal to 400. My answer, if true, is going to be high. If false, I'm going to, let's start that with an equals. I'm going to use another if. And then so if it's not high, it's going to check if it's greater or equal to 250. And if that's true, the answer is medium. If not, it's low. And then I close both brackets. Remember, you don't put an equal sign here. Please don't put equal signs in there. Okay? The equal sign, basically, I'll explain that in a second, now that we do this in Excel. So let's go back to Excel now and do this. So the equal sign basically says that D9, the contents of D9 equals to, and now we put our function, okay? So it's D9 equals to if, and what we're going to check now is if the, what are we looking for? The content of C9. So if this value is greater than that, greater or equal to that value, then the answer is going to be high. Come. Now we need a nested if. If, so if this is false, C9 is greater or equal to 250, comma, then the answer is going to be medium. Otherwise, comma, the answer is going to be low. I can close that one bracket and close the second bracket and press enter. Now, I have not done anything about replicating the formulas yet. Let's just go, let's go do that now. So here, I'm just going to copy some random numbers down here like this, okay? And I'm going to copy some random numbers down here like this. Doesn't matter what they are. And now I'm going to copy this down. And the reason I'm doing this is so I can check all of these here to see whether they are replicating okay. So this first formula was a sum function. It was adding that row. So if I click on this one, it should be adding the second row. It is. So that's okay. I don't need to do anything. The average here was doing that first row. Good. And this one, correct. So it's replicating. Now here, we're looking at C9, but we're using these up here for the criteria and the answers. So if I check this one, we can see that this one here has gone from C9 to C13, which is correct, but these have moved down, and these should not be moving down. Okay, so I need to go and fix that. So I'm going to click on that first formula. I'm going to spread this open so it's easier for you guys to see. There it is. So all of these up here, I need to make absolute references. So all the references to D and E. So E, I'm going to click on the E4, press F4 button on my keyboard. On the D4, press F4, 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 and F4. So that's going to lock these cells and make them absolute references. Let's copy them down now. And let's check one of them. Perfect. It's looking at this value, and these are now fixed. So I know that's replicating properly, so I can delete this random data I put here. Place a replicable formula in cell E9 to look up the rate for this traffic level and multiply it by the number of hits for this web page. Place a replicable formula in cell E9 to look up the rate for this traffic level. Okay. So in here, we want to find the rate. So we're going to find the rate. The rate is dependent upon the traffic threshold. So we're going to use this as our lookup value. This is going to be our table, and we're going to return the value from column number 3. So this is a basic VLOOKUP function. So let's just stretch this out a little bit so you can see a bit clearer. Equals to VLOOKUP. Open the brackets. So I'm going to be looking up this value, comma. This is going to be my table, comma. I'm going to get the answer from column 1, 2, 3 from there. And I want this to be an exact match. So false, close that, and there we go. Now, before I start multiplying, I'm going to check and make sure this is okay and it's replicable, which it's not going to be. If I click and drag that down, if I click on one of these and then click in the address bar, I can see this blue one is moving down. It's relative, so that's good. But my table or my array at the top is also moving down. I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to go back to the first one, click on that table array, select it, and press F4 button on my keyboard to make it absolute. Now I can copy that down, and now I can check it. Perfect. It's not moving. All right, so I can get rid of these. And now I want to multiply. Now that I've found the rate, and it's a replicable formula, I need to multiply that by the total number of hits for this web page. And that's this number over here. So I'm going to do multiply by that. There we go. Okay, now it says replicate the formula entered in steps 3 to 6 for all web pages. All right. So we're now going to select these ones here. I'm going to double click on that fill handle, and there we go. And now, just to make sure, I'm just going to zoom out a bit. I'm going to click on one of these down here and just see whether it's replicating properly. Yes. Correct. Correct. And perfect. Good. Format cells E9 to E38 as currency in dollars to 2 decimal places. E9 to E38. So that's E9 to E38. We're just going to convert this currency. Okay, and then we're going to go to place a replicable formula in cell B4 to count the number of web pages with high traffic. Replicate this formula for medium and low traffic. They're working a lot with replication, so you have to have a good understanding on relative and absolute references. Again, I'm going to put a link to a tutorial which explains relative and absolute and mixed referencing in the description of this video. So in B4, right here, I want to count how many of them are high. So that's from that column there, I want to count how many of them are high. So that's going to be a basic CountIF function. So I'm just going to do equals to CountIF. Now, thinking about it, this makes sense now. The range is going to be this, comma. Now, I could just put speech marks high under normal circumstances, and that will give me 15. But that's not replicable, is it? Because when I copy that down, it's always going to have that function high, and also this range of cells is moving down. So that means I have to link this to a cell reference. And my cell reference is going to be this one. So as I go down, as I'm copying this function down, it's going to go down medium and then low. But I also want the range to be absolute. Let's have a look. Okay, so if I click on this one, there we go. It's looking at low for the low traffic. And at the same time, my range has not moved down. Okay, save your spreadsheet. And then number 10, print only cells A1 to F38 showing the formulae. Make sure that the printout is in portrait orientation. Portrait, that's a bit unusual. The row and column headings are displayed. The contents of these cells are fully visible. I'm not too sure about that portrait thing, but that's what it says. So let's jump over here. So I want A1. First of all, I want formulas. So I'm going to go to formulas, show formulas. There we go. Then I'm going to just double click and just make sure I can see all of the contents of every single column. So I'm just double clicking in between. If I can save some space, I will, because it's actually said portrait, which is a little bit unusual because with formulas take quite a bit of space. So you kind of want landscape. But anyway, either case, there we go. I only want up to F. Good. Just make sure everything there is visible, nothing's cut off. I'm going to select A1 all the way down to F38. So now I'm going to go to File, Print. I'm going to use my PDF printer. And there's my print selection. So I only want to print the selection, not everything. Portrait is the orientation. And I want everything, all the columns. So I'm just making sure here all columns fit all columns on one page. There we go. Now I want row and column headings. So page, sheet, and just click on row and column headings. And you've probably noticed, or if you haven't noticed, my margins are also, I've reduced the margins a little bit here on the left and the right. So that just gives me a little bit more width to show that whole document, which again, a little bit unusual that they want this on portrait. I think that was a mistake. So basically, we just print that. You will print to your selected printer, and that's that. Just make sure when you do print it, everything is visible and easily readable. Okay, let's go to the next part. So that will be that one there. We've done that one. Number 11, apply conditional formatting to cells D9 to D38 inclusive to display a green background if the cell contains high, orange background if it contains medium, and a red background if it contains low. Make sure that the text in each cell is clearly visible. Take a screenshot of your method. Make sure that the formatting set and range of cells are clearly visible. Place this screenshot in your evidence document. Okay, so let's go back. We're going to get rid of the formula view now. We're going to remove formulas. I'm going to select everything by clicking the top corner, double click between two columns. There we go, just to make sure everything is visible. And I want to format D9 to D38 with conditional formatting. So with that selected, I'm going to go to my home ribbon, conditional formatting, manage rules. I'm going to create a new rule. The rule is going to be based on the contents of cells. So format only cells that contain, and I want cell value equals to, and I want the first one to be high. And the format is going to be a background of green. I'm going to use a light green to make sure that the text really does read properly. Click OK. And OK, that's the first one. Now I'm going to, instead of doing that again and again, I'm just going to duplicate this another 2 times. 1, 2. And I'm going to modify this one so it says medium. And the format is going to be a light orange. I'm just going to choose this one here. Click OK. And OK. And then the last one, I'm going to use low. And the format is going to be red. I'm going to choose, I don't have a light red here, so I'm going to go to more colors. I'm going to choose a red and just choose something which is a little bit lighter. Again, you don't have to do this. It's just me being a little bit fiddly with it. As long as, so there we go, click OK. As long as the text is readable, that's what's important. And remember, you're not printing in color, most of you. You're printing in black and white. So it really doesn't matter in grayscale. Okay, so that's that done. I'm now going to select this, go to my conditional formatting, manage rules, and I'm going to take a screenshot with this area here. And I'm making sure that I'm taking the screenshot showing this column here, which is like highlighted, not all of it, but most of it. And here you can see the different ranges and the conditions. So that's perfect. So we go to our evidence document and paste that there. Okay, let's move on. Number 12, change the font color of cells F8 to AC38 to white so the contents of these cells are not visible. Print only columns A to F inclusive showing the values. Make sure that the printout fits on a single page. The printout is in portrait orientation again. The row and column headings are not displayed. The contents of cells in columns A to F, except those cells where the font color is white, are fully visible. Okay. So we can just get rid of that. Now what we're going to do, we're going to select F8 all the way to AC38 like that. I'm going to change the font to white. Okay. Then we're going to just make sure before I do my selection, everything is visible. Everything is formatted the way it is supposed to be. And I think it is. So I'm going to select A1 all the way to F38. I'm going to go to File, Print. And I want to get rid of the row and column headings. So Sheet, get rid of that. Everything fits on one page. Portrait, single page wide. That's perfect. Now, you don't need to put the borders. It didn't ask you to. If you wanted to put borders, but that's up to you. You're not going to gain marks. You're not going to lose marks. Essentially, if you did put the borders, it will look like that. It does give a better view that you've actually done the formatting correctly. As I said, that's entirely your choice. Remember, examiners are trained to mark positively. They only give you marks for things you're asked to do. And they will take away marks if you're asked to do something and you didn't do it. So as borders wasn't asked for or asked so that there are no borders, it's entirely up to you. Okay, first part, it says create a new folder called N24, locate only the files and store them in your N24 folder. That's these ones here. So let's go do that quickly. So over here, just quick new folder N24 small letters. And I want that, and that. I'm going to copy those and put them in there. Okay, that's that done. Okay, next it says you're going to create a web page to help trainees learn HTML. Open the style sheet that. Add a new class called red that sets the font color to hexadecimal code for red when this class is applied. Add a new class called center that center aligns text. Save this, save your style sheet. Take a screenshot to show the contents of your style sheet. Put in your evidence document. Okay, so we're creating classes this time round. So let's go do that. So the first thing I'm going to do is now a quick note. I'm going to be solving the web design part of this paper using Dreamweaver in this video, but I'm also going to be solving it using Expression Web. So you can find that tutorial in the Expression Web playlist. So if you're using Expression Web, you can stop watching this video and jump over to the other playlist and see the web design part of this paper being solved in Expression Web. So from these files here, I'm going to right click on my web.css like so, open with, and I'm going to use Dreamweaver. Okay, so here is my style sheet. So I need to create a class. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to Window and just open up my CSS Designer. So I've got my CSS Designer over here. Now, there's a few ways that you can create the class. All you have to remember is you need that full stop in the front. Everything else is just like creating any other normal tag. Okay, so I could just simply go here, press enter, put dot, red, and open close braces. And then inside the braces, I can come over here in my properties and just make it red. And I need to make sure that the code is FF0000. That's pure red. That will work. The other way you can do this, if you want, is simply click on the selectors, add the selector that you would normally do. Just type dot red, enter, and there you go. It adds it for you. So it really doesn't matter how you do this. Just make sure the hexadecimal code is correct. It needs to be 00. Okay? So red is FF, green is 00, blue is 00. Press enter. There you go. Now we create the next one, which is center. I'm going to go click the selector, dot center. Now it wants it spelled with the English spelling because it's just the name. It's a class name. It doesn't matter how you call it. So you need to be careful with this. And for that, I simply want the text. And from there, I'm going to go to align center. So there's the two there. So now what I need to do is to simply take a screenshot of all of this. I'm going to include the file name. I'm going to include the numbers to make sure everything displays. So the file name at the top. Go to my and paste that in there. Did that fit on the second page? No? Doesn't matter. Leave it on the second page. Okay. Now it says open and examine the web page n24web.htm. The web page and attached style sheet have been created for you. So a style sheet has already been attached. The web page appears like this. Each table cell in this diagram is identified with a letter which must not appear on your final web page. Edit the HTML so that table borders do not appear on the final web page. Replace the text a candidate that with your name, center number, and the candidate number. Save your web page in your N24 folder with the file name web page underscore followed by your center number, candidate number. Okay. So let's jump over here. So we've got our style sheet open. Let's just do a quick save. I'm going to go to my folder and I'm also going to open up N24 web. There it is. Let's just close that CSS. So we can see the style has already been linked here. There it is, the style sheet. And so I want to replace the name down here with my name. And I want to save this with the name web page underscore. So file, save as in the same folder. And we're going to call that web page underscore CY127 underscore 4. And there we go. That's now been saved. I can close that one now. Edit the HTML so that the table borders do not appear on the final web page. Missed that one, nearly missed it. Right, so from here, I'm going to click on my table, click on the long green line to select the whole table, or I can simply, when I click on the table, find that the table tab. Let's just click at the top. There it is there. Click on that table tab there. And as soon as I click on that open table tab, it selects the table. And down at the bottom in my properties, I'm just going to put border 0 and press enter. And that's just going to put table border 0, ensuring no borders for the table. Okay. Now, if you don't have the properties at the bottom, you simply go to window and click on properties to make it appear or disappear. Okay. So I think I've done that first part now, yes. So edit, so no borders appear. We've done that, and we've done that. Good. Set all the text in cell A1 into style heading 1. So I'm going to do this one by one so I don't forget anything. So I'm going to select that text there, and down at the bottom in my properties for format, set it to heading 1. Oh, nice and big. So I've done that. Set the text web development layers in B, in cell B in style H2. Set all other paragraphs of text in cell B in style H3. Apply the class red to only the text. That. And then set the right. So let's go do the first one up here. Now I have noticed something weird here. It wants web development layers in heading 2 and all other paragraphs in this cell as heading 3. But this is all one paragraph. But if we have a look at the code, Have a look. You can see it's actually looking like it's it's a lot of different paragraphs, and it's not, because this is all just text. So that tells me I need to break this up. So I'm just going to go here, press enter to break that up. That way I can select that and make that heading 2. There we go. And then set all other paragraphs of the text in B to heading 3, all the other paragraphs. So that basically means all of these need to be broken up into paragraphs. And that will make sense because it looks like a list. Okay. And all of that will now be heading 3. Okay, that looks a bit better. Much better. See what I'm saying? This is why paper 3, you have 2 hours and 15 minutes. It's not that it's a long paper. You just have to use your common sense and read carefully and analyze everything. It's not so clear cut, do this, do that. All right, the next part says, so I've done that and I've done that. Now I need to apply the class red to 1, content layer, 2, presentation layer, 3, behavior layer. So I need to select that text there only and apply the class red. So the class red, remember we created it already. Down here in the properties, you've got class. And there it is, because I've added the classes in my style sheet, and my style sheet is attached to this web page. I find it there. So I'm just going to make all of those with the class red. And it's going to span only for that part of the text. And you can see the code there. HTTP span class red for 3 behavior layer, and then it closes the span. Okay, so it's only spanning across a portion of that paragraph. Okay, simple enough. Set the text in cells C and D into style H2 with a class set to red. C and D, those ones there. So C, heading 2, and I want it also class red, and that one as well, heading 2, class red. Set both paragraphs of the text in cell E into style H3 with a class set to center. Now it says both paragraphs. Same thing as before. We can see over here in the code, it looks like 2 paragraphs, but here it's not. So I'm just going to break that up. There we go. And now I'm going to select these, make them heading 3. I could do them one by one. Now I want to apply the class center to the paragraph. So that basically means I don't want to apply it to a bit of the text like I did here, only a sample of the text. I want to apply it to the whole text. So we're not going to select the text and apply it. If we select the text and apply it, then it might use a span and it won't apply it, because you can't put a center alignment on part of a text. So I'm going to click on the H3, go to class, center. There you go, it's center aligned it. And then I'm going to do the same for the next one, heading 3, class, center. And there you go. Let's see if it would work if I only applied it by selecting the text. So if I select that text like that and put it center, oh, it did. It did, but can you see it put it inside the heading 3 tag? So it basically did exactly the same thing. Good. Okay, let's move on. Set the first line of the text in cell F into paragraph style. Set the other 3 paragraphs in cell F as a bulleted list. Okay, so cell F is the last one. And again, can you see they're playing a lot with these paragraph things? This is all one paragraph. These are not broken. So the first line, I'm going to look at the code. It's make sure that you can. So from there, I'm just going to break that And then I want that list web page. There you go. You can see that capital letter starting there, can't you? Then the use. That's it. So I want the first line to be paragraph style. So we're going to select that and make that a P tag, which it already is. And then the rest of these we're going to make into a bulleted list. So let's just do that. Now I could have done this way, or I could have done it another way. I'm going to show you now. So from here, I'm just going to click on bulleted list, and there we go. That worked. The other way could have been, if I left it like this, I simply select this paragraph, add a bullet. That's going to add one bullet. And then when I go to each one and break the line, it will automatically add the bullet. So it's entirely up to you how you do this, providing you understand what it wants you to do, and then you produce what it's asking you to produce. Set the title of the web page to Web Programming Tips. Okay, and then in the HTML, set the name of the default target window to self, _self. Set the text in self. So let's do these ones here first. So I want the title of the web page. So there's a couple of ways you can do this. The easiest way is, if you don't have the title tag at the top, just create a new HTML document. And that HTML document in Dreamweaver gives you some information already, like here, there you go. There's the title already there for you. You've got the meta tag there for the character set. That's all there for you already. So I've seen already that I'm going to need that as well anyway, the character set. But let's just take the title. So if I just paste that title there in that title tag in the head section, I can now copy it, go over here in the head section. Before the head section closes, I can put my title. So let me just separate the head section so we can find it easier. There it is. So inside the head section there, I've also got my title. The next one is I want the default target window to be self. Now to do this, you can just start typing, open the bracket, base, enter, space, target, and then just type what it's supposed to be, _self, and close that tag. That basically says if you don't have a target set for a link, then the default target is going to be _self. If you do create a target, if you do create a link and you put a different target, it would use that one. All right, let's jump over here. Set the text in cell C as a link to open the web page that, and then set the text in cell D as a link to open the web page, the CSS HTML, in a new window called _blank. Okay, so here's my HTML. That's my text. I'm going to select it. Now, there's a couple of ways here. You can either go down to the bottom and in the link, you can open the folder and choose where it's going to go. So that's going to go to N24 HTML. There we go. The other way, of course, is you can simply right click on it and you can use a link. In this case, I'm going to change the link and I can choose something else if I wanted to. Okay, so it's entirely up to you. This one here, I'm going to right click on it. It says make link, and that's the second way. I want N24 CSS. There it is. But at the same time, I want it to go to _blank. So with that selected, down at the bottom, I've got my target. I'm going to write _blank and enter. And remember, you need to be able to see all of this in your code. So here's my class red. There's my link to N24 CSS, and the target is _blank. Then place metadata in the appropriate section of your HTML to define the character set to UTF-8. Add a description of the web page. Okay, so first of all, the character set, we already saw that we've got this in a new window. So when I create a new HTML, there's my character set there. So I can just copy that. It's already UTF-8. I don't need to change it. I'm going to go in my head section and just paste that there. If they wanted a different character set, then I would just change what's inside here. Now, it also wants add a description of the web page. So for that, what we're going to do, we're just going to, if you can remember the meta tags, that's fine. But you've also got the insert, the HTML meta tags here. Makes it easy. You've got the meta, the keywords, description, viewport, script, hyperlink, email, everything there for you. So if I just go to description and I write a description, let's say tips for web programming, as long as it's related to the page, that's fine. And that will automatically be added. There you go. Let's just move that down right there. The meta name description and then the content, that's the description. Okay. Now, again, I have a tutorial which is all about the head section and the meta tags. I'm going to add that to the description of this video at the bottom as well. So there's a lot of tutorials there on web design, everything you need for this course. Okay, so we've done that part as well. Now, save your web page. Oh, that's basically it. All right, save your web page, take a copy of your HTML source and place this in your evidence document. Display your web page in the browser. If necessary, resize it so that the entire page can be seen. All the text can be easily read. The address bar is fully visible. Take screenshot evidence showing your web page in the browser. Place this in your evidence document. Okay, let's go do that now. So first thing is my source code. I'm going to click over here, Control A to select all, Control C to copy. Go to my evidence document, paste it. Now, I say this again and again, you are ICT students. Let's try and get rid of all these gaps. Okay, let's just go to paragraph. Single line spacing, click OK. And any big gaps that I've added here, I'm just going to get rid of where the head is. You don't have to do this, but if you can make it fit on one page without it being too crammed, then that's always a good thing. I've got well, that's it. And if I needed to, I could just extend my margins just a little bit, the top and bottom margins, just to make it a bit easier for me to fit everything in. There we go. Okay, finally, we're going to open our web page in our browser. So here we go. I don't need that there. Right, so that's that web page there. We're going to double click on it. And we want to make sure that everything is visible in one page. I don't want a scroll bar. So I'm just going to, don't do this, guys. Don't make it maximum and just take a screenshot so it takes up really big page. If you have to, that's fine. But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to adjust this so that it is not overlapping like it is up here. Everything shows correctly. That shows correctly. I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and there we go. I've got a really nice screenshot there of everything. Okay, and you need to take a screenshot. Pay attention. Your screenshot has to be the entire browser window. I always take a little bit more so that you can see the borders of the browser window, and that's really important because this guarantees that you've taken this from your web browser. The other things that you're looking for is to make sure the title of the page up here is visible in the tab, the address bar here is fully visible, and the whole page is fully visible. So I'm going to take that now and put that as a screenshot. Again, I'm going to double click on this, go to my text wrap, make it tight, and then I'm just going to drag it over a bit so I can make it just a little bit bigger, making it so much easier for the examiner to see that I've done all the work. Okay, do we have anything else? No? Print off your evidence document. All right. That's paper 3, November 2024. You can see it wasn't a very heavy paper, but there was a lot of attention to detail. In the Excel part or the spreadsheet part, we saw that we had to pay a lot of attention to relative and absolute referencing. We had nested if functions come back after a few years where they vanished. Nested functions are back. In the web design, we can see there wasn't so much web design as such, but there was more about classes, meta tags in the head section, and just making sure everything looks correct by separating those paragraphs. So pay attention to the detail. As always, you like this video, you learned something new, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and make sure you share with everybody else so that everybody else can learn as well. You know, all the other people in your class. Now, remember the links are at the bottom in the description for the tutorials and the resources so you can go ahead and practice this paper. Take care. Bye-bye.